we have a lot of things to cover today. This is about home politics and country management. I initially expected to be a bit shorter, but when I was going through all the topics, it seems like this is going to last around 80 minutes, excluding the questions and answers. So I don't know, maybe 1.5 hour. Um, Unfortunately, my colleague Heli Madora is today not available on the chat, but Cable Nexus is available. He knows a lot about the game, and hopefully also our producer Surtur will join. I'm not sure about that, but if he doesn't, we will be able to cover all your questions ourselves. So if you have any questions, just please write it to the chat. I will try to answer them during the stream. Cable Nexus might also be able to cover some of the questions. Yeah, so let's change the. So you should already see the game, and I again prepared the save file on which I will show you all the different parts of the game. By the way, I'm not sure if you noticed that, but those of you who have the Steam version, there is a new update. It's version 1.0.3, and we have covered there many things which you were asking for, including alternative mouse controlling system, which basically simulate or basically does exactly the same what you are used to from Total War and Civ or Civilization series. So if you don't like Aggressors way with the default actions and alternative default actions, then you should be satisfied with the new mouse controlling system. Okay, so what do we have here today? I actually played the game yesterday because every time we we preparing new build, we have like 1 day full of playing, and we are trying to find possible bugs, or not really bugs, but something what might prevent you from enjoying the game at its full extent. And I was playing it as an Odrysian Kingdom. Those of you who already played the game know that this is not the easiest faction. I was playing on medium difficulty. It is now roughly 80 turns in game. I was able to survive, but even for me it was pretty challenging, I had to say. But right now I'm already doing pretty well. If I will hover or zoom out, you can see that I have pretty decent country. I kind of had to change it in editor for these purposes because I'm going to show you many things which I was in this year I was not able to achieve, or I didn't have a technology for that. So let's start. First thing I would like to cover are the victory conditions because that's basically the topmost country management or game management thing we can think of, and I think that you already know, but just in case, to get to victory conditions, you click on this state window button in the top left corner, and in state window you go to the first button from the top, which is the player victory conditions. In a campaign scenario, we have altogether 5 different victory conditions. I will briefly cover all of them, but I will not go into too much details. So the first one is the well, let's start with the first one from the top, which is the military superiority. Military superiority, it's basically what it says. So you really need to have many or pretty strong army, which must be superior to all the other opponents in the game, and that's not enough. It has it's a set of conditions. The first one is that you really need to have a powerful army. The second one is that you need to have a surplus of the food to such an extent that you are able to feed not only your citizens and your army, but you have enough reserves to cover even bigger army. And the last condition is that you have to own particular proportion of the currently owned land mass. So which means that even you have a really huge army, it wouldn't be enough because you need to also uh, own a proportion of the currently owned world. The second one is the victory points. This is the only victory condition which is now available only for the campaign mode. The reason for that is that every player in the campaign has a different set of victory points and bonus positions for which he gets the bonus points. So if I will go and show you the victory points map, then you can see that that all the red parts are basically the victory points positions. So for every tile you get a certain number of victory points, and there are also bonus units. You can see it here, for which you get a special bonus if you conquer it, or if you conquer at least the tile. So there are like two different bonuses. The first one is for the tile itself, when you have a unit there, and the second one is that is for the city which was there at the beginning. So if I will, for example, here, this is Athens. If I will conquer Athens and it will not be destroyed, then I will get a special bonus. If I will conquer the tile and I will rebuild a new city there, I will also have a bonus which will be a bit lower. The reason why this cannot work right now for the other game, or for the generated maps or scenarios created by our modders, is that this differs for every player. So if I will go to the I don't know, Carthage, and show you the same winning condition here, then you will see that the victory points are a bit, or victory map might be a bit different, but almost the same. But the difference is that they have totally different bonus units. So every player has his own set of bonus units, and that's why their, let's say, goals or directions might also differ in the game. Let's get back to my own faction. So this is the victory points. Then let's skip overall victory. Then there is the technological dominance. Technological dominance is basically a way how to win the game without conquering the other countries around. To achieve that, you basically need certain surplus of invention per turn. You also need to have a technology superiority, which means that you need to be way ahead of all the other factions in the game. Which means that once one player achieves the end of the invention tree and he doesn't win the game with this achievement, then this victory condition cannot be achieved anymore, because he simply didn't get such an advance that he can win the game anymore. And the last condition to be able to win this technological dominance is that you have to build academy. It's one of the improvements of city. I will talk about it today as well. The last in the list is country development. The country development is also kind of a peaceful way how to achieve victory in the game. You also need to build academy. You need to have a certain surplus of influence per turn, and you need to have in your stockpile a certain threshold of resources, particularly influence. You have to achieve certain number of citizens, and you have to have your citizens happy as well. And the last part, which you need to the condition you need to meet, is that you need to have a certain number of big cities in the game. I think that those there is a threshold of city size 7 or 8, and I think that you need to have 3 cities. Not sure. So these 4 victory conditions are, let's say you can decide to continue the game. Whoever wins, if you win or the AI player wins, you will get a pop-up which will says, okay, you reached, or your opponent reached the victory condition, and do you want to continue, or do you want to end the game? If you decide to continue, then you can try to achieve another victory condition till all the conditions are gone, or till all the players are destroyed or conquered, and that's basically the overall victory. So overall victory is the only victory condition which cannot be kind of skipped, or cannot be ignored. So once you achieve overall victory, the game simply ends, and that's it. So this is victory conditions. Uh, okay, here's a question. In this game, does the AI try to win, or just attack the player to simulate a challenge like other similar games? Well, I'm not sure if you already saw that, but AI player actually wins quite often. It's He follows certain strategies to destroy you, and also destroys the opponent. So it's not like just let's say fooling around, but there is a strategy behind that. So let's move on. The next part I would like to talk about are the objectives. Objectives are kind of a short-term or mid-term goals, which are also tailored for each faction. So every faction has different set of objectives, and you can imagine these objectives like set every objective can is like a set of conditions which must be met, and then there is certain rewards you can get. Um, the list of objectives or number of objectives which are currently available can change. It depends not only how the game develops, so it means not only how the game goes, but you also unlock or can lock another objective, which means if I will finish or fulfill one objective, then another might unlock. So this is not like an exhaustive list of the objectives. And again, this is tailored for each player. So if I will choose another player, I don't know, Pontus, or yeah, let's try Pontus. Uh, then you can see that the list is longer and also very different to the previous one. So he should conquer a territory of Bithynia. There is a population objective. There is objective related to Pergamon, etc., etc. Again, once you finish one objective, another might unlock. So you might be surprised how many objectives are actually there sometimes for some of these factions. Why am I actually telling you about how the objectives work? The thing is that right now there are 40 different, or more than 40 different game conditions type. So one type can be conquer a city. The other type can be have like 10 units of specific unit type. Another one can be like extend your unit with this improvement, etc. So there are more than 40 of these, and the modders or scenario creators can use them and basically create their own objectives if they want to try it out. And there is also more than 20 different game actions, which are basically the rewards you can get. The rewards themselves, you can see that here there is no description of what you get once you finish or once you fulfill this objective. This is not a mistake. This is by design. This was our decision to make it this way, and the reason was that this is not how to say mathematical equation. This is a flexible, ever-changing world, and these even these rewards might change depending on the situation in the game. They might change per the actual state of the country who actually fulfilled the objectives, etc. So these objectives have rewards, all of them have, but the actual rewards you will get might differ every time you fulfill them, and it's also not described in the description. By the way, some of the objectives are related or position related. So for those ones, you can click on this item objective map, and it will show you the actual map. What part of the world is related to this objective and what you should do. So you can see that in this case, the red ones are positions to conquer, the green ones are those ones I already conquered, and the rest are just showing my country. And to simplify this, we also came up with this button in the main screen, or you can press F6, and it opens the objective map, which lists only those objectives which are position related. So if you really are, let's say, want to know straight away what tile you have to conquer, then you just hit F6, and then you see that, and you can continue from there. By the way, yeah. The objectives are absolutely optional, non-mandatory. You don't have to follow them. There is no penalty if you don't follow them, and it's totally up to you if you want to be guided by them or you want to try a totally different way. The only benefit is that you really get some rewards out of that. Otherwise, it's up to you how you decide to follow the objectives. The last part related to this or is similar is state decisions. State decisions is a concept which could be described like problem solver. In specific cases, basically there is a pretty long list of different actions you can do, like raid, sacrifice, property confiscation, tribal meeting, etc., etc. And these state decisions are basically it observes the state of the game, and once certain conditions are met, then these state decisions get available. Once they get available, then you might decide to execute them. The list of things you really need to meet is in text written in the tooltip, so you can see that, for example, for, I don't know, the raids, it says in the tooltip the condition is not fulfilled, but raids can be ordered only under despotism and monarchy government when the lack of gold, food, and people becomes critical. So basically, once the situation requires it, the particular state decisions get enabled, and you can decide to perform them. Again, similarly to the objectives, you kind of know in text what would be the pros and cons to execute them. Like, I don't know, in game of skill, you can see that in tooltip it says games of skill positively affect happiness and military strength, but increase usage of food and gold. You can notice that it doesn't say how much food or gold you would need, and it also doesn't say how much happiness and military strength, how it will positively affect that. This is, again, it's by design, and the reason is that we were trying to be a bit, let's say, realistic, because history was not created the way that you know that you have to pay 10 food and you will get 10 gold in return. This is something like you need to execute a specific, or you have to make a certain decision, and you know how kind of what impact can it have, but you will actually learn the impact once you execute it and find out. So this is done exactly the same way, and the reason why this is like a problem solver is that you use it only when a situation really requires it. It's not something you would use on turn basis or often. So these are the state decisions, and now we can get to the resource management. Yes, I'm just trying to keep up with the chat if there is anything I should answer, but it seems like okay. So probably most of you already know there is 10 different resources. You can see it in the top left corner. There is gold, coal, stones, and iron. There is food and wood. There is knowledge, influence, citizens, and happiness. Uh, this panel is actually really important because it not only, as you can see, it not only shows the amount of resources you have right now, but it also, when you hover over, you can see the resources you had in last turn. So you can see that gold, I had 16.6, and there was an increase compared to the current stockpile, plus 27. But last turn surplus and loss is 1.8, which means this is basically how much did I actually produced. So 27 is something I got. Oh, actually, no, I the reason why I have plus 27 compared to the last turn is that I, in game editor, I added some gold. But otherwise, this shows you the difference between the amount of resource at the beginning of the last turn compared to the current turn. Then there is the last turn surplus. It basically means how much you produce. So my country currently produces just 1.8 gold per turn. And there is surplus 2 turns back, which is how much did I earn or produced 2 turns back. If you trade, yeah, you can see it in coal. Then there is also how much did you trade. It might be plus or minus. In this case, it's plus. So I trade. I'm trading coal, but coal is coming from another faction. I'm actually giving something on return, which is, we can find out. Actually, it's not here. It's weird, but I don't really want to. Okay. Yeah, it's actually a gift, so so there is nothing in return. So this is the resource panel, and let's now talk about the resources themselves. So we can divide these 10 resources to 3 different groups. The first one, gold, coal, stone, and iron, can be called mine resources, and the reason is that we basically have like mines which are producing them. That's an iron mine, that's a coal mine, that's the gold mine, and that's the stone quarry. The gold is kind of an exception because gold, it can be also produced by the cities, but we call all of them mine resources, and you pretty much need these mines to get the resources. You can also trade them if you don't have them, and there is someone who is able to trade them with you. But these are basically pretty simple, and there is no reason to explain it a bit explain it more. But the next group is a bit more interesting. It's food and wood, and these are called harvested resources. And the harvested resources are actually harvested from the city range or from those tiles around city, which are harvested only from the we call it city range, which basically means that it's like a neighborhood of city depending on its size. I will come back to it very soon. I will explain it a bit more, but right now let's just say that these are related to the tiles close to the city and are harvested out of the terrains. Then there is the last group, which is we call it city resources, and the city resources are pretty much depending on the number of cities and particularly on the size of the cities. So the first one is knowledge. Knowledge is something what is pretty much not 100%, but pretty much used for research. And research in Aggressors is done a bit different way to most of the other games. So let's go to the invention tree. And you can see that the invention is pretty standard. but the way you research is a bit different. So what you do is that you accumulate the knowledge resource. It's coming out of the cities, and once you have enough, you can start the research itself. If you have enough resources, you can see that once I hover over the selection icon or selection hand, then there is this deduction panel which shows me how much will be deducted out of my resources and how much will I have left. But sometimes when you have enough resources of knowledge and gold and you click on that, you will get this pop-up. This pop-up basically allows you to specify how long do you want to research that particular technology. And if I will change this value, look here to the deduction panel, you can see that the value changes. The value changes, and faster you want to finish this research, the more it costs, and it's non-linear. I would like to say here that this word will be repeated here probably many times. So what the non-linear means, that if you, for example, have let's say like an example, if you have two cities of size 1, it doesn't equal to one city of size 2. The one city of size 2 is basically more than those two cities of size 1. It's a non-linear. You can also imagine it like an exponential, but it's kind of something between non-linear calculation. So you can see that every turn costs more and more. And with this in mind, if I would, for example, now select research 6 turns, then I will wait 6 turns, and then I will select another research for 6 turns. Then the amount of resources I will do for these two will be lower than when I select one invention or one technology in 3 turns. That's because of its non-linear. So if you want to have a really fast development and you have enough knowledge, you can really speed up, and you can basically try to catch the other more advanced players. But you need a lot of knowledge, which you can trade, of course, or you can have big cities which actually produce them. So you are able to catch the development of other more advanced players if you really try to have as much knowledge as you can have. So that's the research. You will also see that once I click on OK, this will automatically deduct the amount of resources. So I click on that, and now we have from 100 points of knowledge, we have 27, and this technology will be researched in tooltip in 3 turns. That's the knowledge. Then there is the influence. Influence is something what is also produced in cities, and once again, the production of cities is also non-linear. So it means that again, two cities of size 1 is not the same as one city of size 2. And the bigger the city is, the higher the production is. Again, not exponential, but let's call it exponential for simplicity. And it means that you should always try to have as big cities as possible, because this will multiply the number of or production of the cities themselves. So that's the influence, which means bigger the cities have, the more the influence you have. The influence is usually, there are a couple of ways what you can do with the influence, but basically the most important thing you do with the influence is you apply your influence to cities around. And you are what it basically means is that you send your let's say delegates, and they are trying to pursue those people to rebel against their government, and trying to basically initiate the revolts. I can do it. I will give it a try in a second. I will first just very briefly explain what are the possible outcomes. So the first one, if I will apply it on on a city is that it will simply initiate a revolt. Revolt is something like people are unhappy. The general moral is something we covered last time, will decrease, and it might happen that the revolts might break and damage a city as well. That's the first option. By the way, I already said that last time, but just to be sure that everyone understand it, the lower general moral is, the lower the efficiency of defense is. So once you apply it to a city, then the city will be weaker, and you might be also it might be easier for you to conquer it. That's the first outcome. The second outcome is that it might overthrow the local government and it might change the side. That's probably the reason why you would do it, because you will spend your influence and you will try to pursue them to switch the side and go to your side. Uh, that's of course the best outcome. And the third outcome is that you might initiate a civil war, which basically means that new player can come up to the world and can start playing. This can weaken the enemy, and also he might the revolting or newly created factions are happy to sign the peace with anyone around, because they know that they are in very bad situation, and um, they are trying to make peace with anyone so they can focus the defense to those ones which want the cities and the land back. So let me just show you one thing. I will apply it to German tribes. You can see that the German tribes have really good attitude. So they like me. We share the same enemies. Well, I rejected a couple of treaties, but it's okay because the attitude is really high. What I will do, I will now try to apply the influence on this Tibiscum. Uh, the number of resources, how much you actually need to pay for that, depends on number of things. The first one is the distance from your city or closest city. This is pretty far, so we pay more. Then the other thing is the size of the city. The bigger the city is, the more expensive to influence the city is. Next is the army moral. If, for example, we have or they have really good army moral against us, they don't want to join our country because their army is stronger, so they are afraid to join our country, which is the weaker one. Then their own happiness. Our happiness is also important. A couple of more things, but I don't remember all of them. But the number of factors is pretty high. There also the improvements which are built in those cities are important. So you can build improvements which kind of prevent this happening. So let's give it a try. So see something. So I just applied it, and what it says is that the influence of our country in this city has grown about 19%, which is good, but it's not enough. So it didn't initiate even any revolts. You can see that it actually decreased the general moral, but it was not enough to initiate any revolts. What I will try to use the same on closer and also weaker target, because it's the size is smaller. So I will apply it here as well. Okay, we were able to increase the influence, but it was not enough. Let's try it again. Nothing. So you can see, by the way, with every try you perform in that turn, the number of resources you need for this action is growing. So I'm not sure if you noticed how much it was before, but it was way less than now. So we are now spending like all the influence, pretty much all the influence we have. By the way, for those ones who want to know what is the actual increase of influence in my last turn, it was 4, including the trading. So you can see that for just one action I would need 10 turns, so it's not that easy in the game, so don't worry. It's something you really need to spare for many years. So what I will do, I will try it the third time. Okay, it didn't work out. So I hoped that it will, but it didn't. I hope that it will eventually overthrow the local government, which happens. I mean, you can see that the general moral is already really bad. It's like 52%. So the chance that this happens, the overthrow, is getting higher and higher with every try, but we didn't succeed. So let's move on. The next resource is citizens. Basically, the citizens, it's like a derived resource which is calculated out of all the cities and their sizes. So if I will see the look at the tooltip here of this Scoopy town or city, I can see that it has a size of 4.2 and there are 19 citizens. If I will try the same here, I can see that the size is 2.5 and the number of citizens is 5. Again, I hope that you already noticed, this is non-linear. So we have 2.5, 5 citizens. We have 4.2 and there are 19 citizens. That's the thing I'm talking about. So the bigger the city is, the more or bigger the number is, then exponentially more it produces, and also the number of people lives in the city, etc., etc. So that's how the number of citizens is calculated. It's calculated out of all the cities we currently have, and we cannot really directly change the number of citizens we have. Of course, we can trade them. I will come back to it very soon. But we cannot really mine them or anything like that. The only way how we can influence or have an impact on how to increase the number is this tool called birth rate policy. The birth rate policy tool, basically you are giving to your citizens financial and material support to have more kids. And in particular, I think that you need to provide gold, food, and stones, which basically mean that you give them gold, like to improve their financial situation. You give them food, so they don't have to kind of worry about their own living too much, and you give them stones so they can build their new homes. And with this in mind, you basically trying to pursue them to have more kids. One thing which is really important, and it's in the hint panel, for those who don't know what it is, it's on this right side. All the controls have this kind of detailed description of what the currently Howard control does, and it's already written there at the end. The impact of the grant on birth rate cannot be exactly predicted in advance. This is something what you should try. You should support them to have more kids, but you cannot really say, okay, if I will give them 50% support, they will have 3 kids, or I will have 3 new citizens. So this is something you need to eventually come up to. So you can start with the lower value and see what impact does it have, and either increase it next turn or decrease. This birth rate policy can be set on the let's say country level, which is basically the slider, or you can go inside this window and you can set it for the for particular cities, which means you can see that this slider is exactly the same as it was on the previous in the previous window. So we are changing everything together. But if there are cities you want to have a specific birth rate, you basically set it per your wish. So if you know that you really will need new citizens on border towns, then you increase it there, or the other way around. It's absolutely up to you and your strategy. So this is the birth rate, and what is also important regarding citizens is the migration. I will come back to migration in like 15 minutes, because it is related to the other concept, which is called happiness. But let's keep in mind that there is a migration, which basically um, it's an aspect of the game or feature of the game which kind of shift the people from one place to another depending on number of factors. So I will come back to it soon. So the most not difficult but most probably interesting and also something we will talk about for for a couple of minutes is happiness. Happiness is uh, pretty simple to understand. That's how the people are, how your people or citizens are happy with your leadership. What is important to understand is that there is a so-called base happiness. That's basically the value here, which is now 108%. One thing for those who were asking how can anything has less more than 100%, it has a pretty simple explanation. If I have a job, if I have something to eat, if I have something to live in, then I'm satisfied, I'm okay, and everything's going fine. But if I win $100 million, then I will be much more happy, and that's what it is. So 100 is that people are satisfied and everything's working fine. Whatever is more than 100 is great. You don't really need that. So this is like uh, indicator of how close are you to the state where people are might get upset, but otherwise 108% mean that people are more than happy and everything's going well. And that's the base happiness. The base happiness is also derived information, derived resource, which means that there are a number of factors from which the actual value is calculated. Um, there are altogether 5 different factors which forms this final value. It's government impact. I will come back to it soon, which basically means that different government types, like I don't know, republic, despotism, monarchy, has different impact on the happiness. Then there is the resource abundance. Basically, it means that if you have enough resources and people have an access to all the resources, then you are fine. You can get actually some plus value of the happiness. But if you are struggling and you are in lack of on one of the resources, then the percentage might be in red numbers, which can vastly affect the base happiness, especially when you don't have food or even you don't have gold. But basically all the resources are important. Then there is this army size impact. This is also very important. You can imagine it like you have a country and the country needs a certain level of safety. The people require safety, and if you have not enough soldiers, if the army is not strong enough, then people or citizens will basically not feel safe and they will be unhappy. On the other hand, if you have too many soldiers, then people might think that this is a waste of resources. They need to pay it out of their taxes, and they will be also unhappy. So there is like a special curve, which has a sweet spot, and this is what you are trying to achieve. The army size itself is not something what is in absolute values. Basically, it's a ratio or proportion related to citizens. So if you have more citizens, you also need bigger army. In that case, you can see that I'm doing pretty well. I'm plus 10%, which is good. So I'm kind of in sync with what the citizens want. There are 2 other things which have an impact on the base happiness, which is 108%. The first one is the trading with slaves or slavery. And basically, any trade with slaves is kind of having negative impact, but the difference is if you are buying slaves or selling slaves. If you are selling slaves, then the negative impact is higher. If you are buying slaves, the negative impact is lower. The actual value of negative impact depend on the ratio between number of citizens and bought slaves or sold slaves. So if you have a lot of citizens and you are selling like or buying like five slaves or 5 citizens per turn, then you are okay. But if you altogether have like I don't know, 100, like I have 134, and I will buy every turn 10 citizens or 10 slaves, if you want, if you will, then this will have a pretty big negative impact on the happiness itself. And the last thing, which has impact on the base happiness, are the military campaigns. Basically, uh, every victory, every defeat, every conquered city has an impact on the happiness. So people, when you lead a successful military campaign, then the happiness is going higher. If you are actually losing on battlefield, and the enemy conquer your tiles or cities, then the happiness is going lower. This coefficient, let's call it military campaign coefficient, is actually getting back to the standard value, which is like a 0, um, longer, or every turn, which means that if you stop winning and losing, then it will eventually get back to 0 impact on the base happiness. So in that case, if you are actually in the military campaign which is not going well, and you are struggling with the happiness, which is lower than 100%, then the best thing is to sign peace, because this will calm down people and they will forget your mistakes, basically. But that's just the initial, or the basic thing of the happiness. It's the base happiness. Then there is so-called local happiness. You can see that on the map. You can see that different colors. There is a range of colors from red to blue. The more red it is, the more unhappy the people are. Then there is like a average, which is okay, it's green, and then there is blue, which is something what we want to get into. So you can see that this is my country. There are some blue spots. It's basically, you can see that the initial part of my country, which is here, it's all blue. That's good. And here are the newly conquered parts, which are either green or yellow or even red. So that's the local happiness. The local happiness, it always starts, the value differs per tile. You can see that on this tile there is, in tooltip, you can see that there is 128%. If I will move it north, it's 112, and even more, it's 105. So it varies per every tile. And how it's calculated is that it takes the base happiness and it applies local effectors to that number, which means that there is altogether 8 different factors which are taken into account and you should be aware of. The first one is how far is it from the borders with an enemy. So it's also, the information is in the tooltip. You can see that there is the in bold. When the local happiness is lower than 100, then you will see in the tooltip what is the actual happiness. So you can see that we are in war with this Antigonid player, and because it's very close to his capital and he has some armies, then the local happiness is really low. That's because of people basically know that they are on the front line and they are afraid what will happen in the next turns. But once we get further from the front line, you can see that it's going to the black values. You can see it better probably here. So here it's 47%, 67, again 67, and 118. So that's the first effector, which basically is the close. It's how close the tile is from the front line. But there is also another factor, which is fear. There is one is how far is it from the front line, and the second one is the fear. And fear is related to the army morale and power of the country you have the border or you share the border with. So it means that the people here are really afraid of Antigonid because the fear is quite high. And you can see that here it's even in the red numbers. So the local happiness is 6%, which is almost like they hate us and they want to basically leave our country. The reason is, you can see that the fear is 100% minus, and the reason is that there is an army standing right in front of this city and right in front of these tiles, which makes them very vulnerable, and they are afraid what will happen in the next year. So that's the fear. Then there are local effectors you can somehow have an impact on. Those are improvements. You can build two different improvements to increase the local happiness, and it's the amphitheater. You can see it here. It's already built. By the way, this part is dedicated for the improvements of city or even the military units. And then there is the other one, which is civil service. If we go to the happiness resource window, then you will see that we have here here is the amphitheater, which gives us 40% plus. That's the bread and games, and it also have an impact on the neighbor on the against tiles. So it's still here 26%. 13%, and then it's down, then it's gone. So there is like some kind of propagation of this happiness to the nearby tiles. And the same is for the civil service, which has lower impact, but on the other hand, civil service is also good to prevent revolts and revolutions. Maybe I will come back to it. I'm not sure if we have time. But you can build these, and this can increase the local happiness, especially in those parts of your country where it's needed. So it doesn't make sense to build it where you don't have any problems with local happiness. Then the other thing is what is the condition of the city. So you can see that this is basically damaged. The defense is not 2, which is the basic or the standard defense, and this is also you can see it here. It says revolts minus 20%. That's because of this is the condition of the city is not good, and people are upset about it, and they want you to change it. Then there is a special bonus for capitals, which you can see here. Its capital city has 40%, and it's propagating, but very quickly deteriorating the value. So next to it is 20%, and then it's gone. So there is like a special happy place in your country, which is basically the capital, but it has not too much impact on the other parts of your country. Okay, we are already getting to the end of happiness. I know it's kind of a lot things to a time. The next thing is if your city is so-called broken. It happens when someone pillage your the city, or when it was attacked, etc. Once it happens, I will show you soon how it looks like. Then you should always try to provide it emergency aid as soon as you can, because the people migrate extremely quickly out of the city. Then there is so-called general moral. I also covered it last time, but basically you can see that this is the newly conquered city, and it has lower loyalty and lower general moral, and that's something what is also propagated to the happiness map. So we can see that there is revolts minus 25%. And the last thing you can do, if there are places which you want to let's say which you want to be sure that there will be no problems with the happiness, is you can have garrison units in the cities or near cities, which will maintain order in those cities. So let me show you. For example, here you can see that there is very like minus, and there is urban guards 20%, and the reason is that we have our own unit here not far from the city, and if we have a unit in the city, like in here in Malta, then you will see that Okay, yeah, that's because of its okay, it's not in good shape. But if you have the unit in the city and it's in good shape, then the percentage of or let's say bonus in the local happiness is even higher. So that's the way. If you conquer a city and there is low happiness, then the first thing you should do is to repair the city to get it back to kind of functioning state. And till then you should definitely keep the garrison unit there to maintain order. That's very important. Otherwise you might not only experience emigration out of the city, but you might also experience revolts, or the city might be abandoned altogether or entirely. So let's come back to the migration now. So the migration very vastly depend on the happiness, and you can see, for example, here it's in the bold red text, the massive migration minus 73% in the last turn. We can hover over other ones, and you can see that most of them are in plus numbers or 0. So we can see that to our capital plus 5.7, and to other cities nearby it's also plus 5.1 and 8.6. The reason is what happened in the last turn is that people are afraid of the enemy, and they are trying to migrate out of the city. What they do, most of them usually migrate to the nearby cities of the same owner. But some of them might also migrate to further distances, like I don't know. It's possible. I think that they can even migrate to here, so even a bit further away from the city itself. Uh, for those who notice that there is like minus 73% and here is like altogether less, it's because of this is the proportion to the actual size of the city. So this city is now 1, so it means it was like, I don't know, it was size was 3 maybe. But here are already big cities, so the migration in percentage might be high in absolute values, but for in the percentage of the city size, it's not like 70% anymore. So that's the migration. By the way, the migration itself, it's not. We were really trying to make it right. So the migration tries to simulate what people would do. So for example, if we pillage one of the cities, then the people who lived in that city will like in 90% prefer to move abroad instead of to our country, to our own cities, because we were those ones who plundered their cities and killed them. So they are not they do not trust us in a way that they will move to another city, because we might do the same. So what they do, they emigrate basically to another city or another player. On the other hand, if it's the situation like here where they are afraid of the of an enemy, then usually they are trying to move to the more safe or more secure parts of the same owner, which is in our case it's us. Uh, this has some kind of very interesting. Sometimes it has very interesting impact. So what I can do is that if I would, for example, plunder this city, then the people will get to probably to these two nearby cities, which might cause problems to the enemy. This already happened even to me a couple of times, and it basically means that if we plunder a big city, like we don't really have two big cities anyway, but if we had like this was a 5 or 6, and uh, we plunder it, then they will go to these cities. But these cities, the player might not be able to feed them, which will basically create a chaos in that country. So this has some interesting impact you can experience during the game. So that's pretty much the emigration and happiness itself. So if there is anything um, stream. No, no questions. Okay. I actually kind of expected that there will be questions, especially because this is kind of a um, difficult part of the game. But all right. So the next part is a bit easier to understand. It's called governments. The governments. I'm pretty sure that you already know similar mechanics in other games, but it works a bit different in Aggressors. Government is something what you also like. This is similar to civilization. You need to get to a certain development point, so you will basically uh, like research or reveal new way how to govern the country. In our case, we right now have just two options. We are now monarchy, so I'm basically a king of Odrysian kingdom, and we have two other options what we can choose from. It's an aristocracy and despotism. Despotism is the basic government which is available from the beginning. Aristocracy is already kind of a better one, and what this has an impact on is mainly the production of resources. So what you can see in the tooltip is that there are two lines, two rows. The first one is how much does it or what is the impact on the production of each resource. So it has 70% of gold, 120% of coal, etc., etc. But the more important part is the second row, which tells you the difference between the current government and the one you are now hovering over. So you can see that if we choose despotism, we will have a production of gold less minus 20%, more coal, more stones, more iron, less food, etc., etc. We will have less knowledge because despotism doesn't really is the best government type for motivating people to invent stuff. We will have less influence. We will have less, or the birth rate will be basically lower, and we will have much lower happiness. It's minus 30%, which basically means that this is not good for us because we have right now 108%, and if we would go for despotism, it will get to 78, which is kind of a low value already. On the other hand, if we will try the aristocracy, you can see that the happiness is only 5% less, and we might take advantage of more food, more wood, more knowledge. So aristocracy is better for inventing stuff, but it also has some kind of cons. You can see that some of the values are plus, some of them are minus. There are altogether six different. Right now, there are six different government types, but by the way, the game is hugely moddable, and we have a really good modder. His name is, or his nickname is Cable Nexus. He's actually pretty active on chat, and he already mod his own game, and he created another government type. So in our game or in the standard campaign mode, you have just 6 government types, but he has another one. So the next or the other part, what this has an impact on is the army moral influence. So if we look at the democracy, for example, you can see that the army moral is 90%, which means if we will choose democracy, it means that people uh, will feel or will feel more freedom, and they will basically tell you, okay, we don't want to fight, we uh, we don't want to fight because of we want to just live because it's democracy. But on the other hand, if we for example go for empire, the army moral is much higher. So this is something where, with which we were trying to simulate similar aspect of history when the Roman Empire or Roman Republic, more precisely, decided to vote for a dictator, and this dictator had all the aspects um of the country in his hands, so he can focus all the resources to defeat an enemy, and once the danger was over, they decided to change the government back to the usual way, let's say the republic. So this is something what we were also trying to put into the government system in Aggressors. So we can now go to the kind of micromanagement, which we were really trying to lower to such an extent that it will not be tedious, because I think that micromanagement is usually something what most of the players or many players say, yeah, you have to do that, you have to do this, and all over again for all the cities, and that's kind of not fun. I mean, what's so funny about it, just clicking and clicking? So we were trying to mitigate this, to all over the um, this part of the game to such an extent when it will be still fun, it will be there, but it will not be that much. And that's why we came up with a concept when it's the other way around compared to, for example, civilization, which basically means you should leave the city on its own, and it will produce more resources. But if you want something out of the city, so you want to recruit unit, you want to build an improvement there, etc., etc., then the production of the city, like resource-wise, will get lower, a lot lower. I can show you, let's say, because this is a city resource knowledge, so you can see again that there is a scale of colors. So the more blue it is, the better. So you can see that we have different colors. These are cities, and there are basically two colors. The first one is the dark blue, and the second one is kind of green or green blue. And despite the fact that this one, that's our capital, it is 4.2 size, then the increase or production of knowledge is really low compared even to much smaller city like Hadrianopolis, which is just 3.1 size. And the reason is that the city is currently working on something. You can see it here. So so that's the way the game works. So you can of course micromanagement, you can do the micromanagement, you can build improvements, you can recruit units, but every time you do it, there is like a you know, there is an impact or disadvantage that the production of all the city resources like knowledge, influence, and even citizens will get lower. So with this in mind, we were trying to balance the game in to such an extent that you basically most of the time each city is basically idle. Some you know, you need to recruit new units, etc. Sometimes you build new improvement, but most of the time this is idle, and with this we kind of lowered the amount of micromanagement to very I would say decent level. The next thing I want to talk about is the impact, the production or impact on production regarding the size. So you can see that we have here the size 2, that's the Asus city or town, and we have 4.2, which is the town Scoopy. And we can now in tooltip see, or I will go here, it's better. So you can see that this is the production of city with size 2.5. You can see that we have like 0.44 knowledge and 0.3 influence. And here, if we go to the same, you can see that we have more than double of both, and that's because of the size plays the extremely important role. And you should always try to have the cities as big as possible, like I already said before. All the cities can be improved. There are so-called improvements. I already kind of covered that. It's here. There is no limit of improvements you can have for a city. The only limit is how far did you get in the invention tree. The more technologies you reveal, the more options you have to build in the city. I think that altogether there is like 30 different improvements, but some of them are for military units and some of them are for cities. So I think that out of these 30, There is like 10 which are related to cities, like academy. I already said the academy is the improvement you need to win the country development or technologic superiority. Then there are things like city walls, which basically are extremely good when you want to defend a city and you have unit which is defending it. So they are basically hidden behind the city walls, and the bonus for defense is huge. So it's extremely difficult to conquer the city. Then there are some which have an impact on economy, like economical city, which decreases the consumption. Then there are well, it doesn't make sense to go through all of them. Very important is trading, which basically makes that's what I was talking about before. That it changes the city to a producer of gold as well. So that's the improvement you should definitely build. And we can now look at one of the cities. So we can see here there are no improvements right now. I can click on this button, and there is the list of current improvements we have available. Once we research other technologies, there might be other ones available as well. So again, deduction panel, you can see how much it costs, and you just select it, and it's you can see that it's already started building the stockade improvement. So these are cities, and let's now move on to the buildings. So buildings are a bit different to the improvements, the city improvements, because city improvements are basically some kind of property or facility in the city or in a city. On the other hand, buildings are are facilities which are placed directly on the map, and they have an impact on the some of them have impact on the nearby cities and resources. Let's take an example, temple. Let me just hide the tree so you can see it better. Okay, so you can see the highlight here. Temple basically is tightly related to the birth rate or natality of your cities, and it multiplies to a certain range, which, if you want to know, it's 3 tiles. So 3 tiles, all the cities in this range have the natality multiplied basically to 2 times, and this also decreases your costs for birth rate support, because this is for free. So if you build temple, then you can lower the birth rate to half, and the increase will be still the same. Similarly, but on resources, work blacksmith. Blacksmith is a bit more complicated. It basically increases the production of the mined resources, so gold mine, iron, coal, and stone, but again to certain distance. So you can see that these mines are multiplied or are kind of in the range, but this one is already outside the range and it's not multiplied. So if we want this to be multiplied, we need to either build another blacksmith closer, or we need to move this one, or destroy or sell this one and create a new one which would be closer. Important thing is that to multiply the resource production of mines, it's not only about the closeness of blacksmith, it's also about closeness of a city, and more importantly, it is also about how these are connected to each other. So if there is no connection, when there is no road, then the production increase is lower than when you have it connected by road or even by paved road. There are actually 2 different kinds of roads. This is a dirt road, and then once you get to a certain extent of the development, then you will be able to build like paved roads, which are the roads which Romans were building. We cannot do it now, but if I hover over this iron mine, I can see in the tooltip that iron mine is connected to Abdera, which is this. You can see it highlighted different way. by dirt road, and it's also connected to blacksmith by dirt road. That's why we have the size of this mine is 2.2. The maximum is 3.0, which basically means 3 times more when it's connected by paved road to blacksmith and by paved road to the city. So this is blacksmith. Okay, there is a question. I wonder if different factions have a different approach to technology progress and buildings. For instance, the first Roman truly walled cities appeared in the 3rd century as they were projecting power outwards and defending far away. By the same token, for logistic reasons, they built many roads. A very different approach. If you know what I mean, if you refer to the actual invention tree, then the invention tree is the same for all the factions, but the starting point for every faction differs. So Roman empires are definitely very much ahead of us. I think that they would probably be somewhere here or even further, so they will be able to build paved road very soon. But for us, it's something which is really far away. So we are happy that we can even build roads. By the way, this invention tree, and I'm not sure if you know it from previous streams. This invention tree might be mixed if you decide to mix it. It's at the beginning of the new game. It will basically mix it according to certain rules, so it's not like crazy mixing, but it will make the tree a bit different. But again, all the factions share the same mixed invention tree. So I hope that it answered the question. The next thing, the next building is stable and shipyard. Basically, those are buildings where you can produce or recruit new units. In cities, you can recruit the melee units, and you can also recruit the simple vessel unit, which is boat, and cavalry unit, mounted unit. But for the more advanced, you need shipyard, which builds galley and triremes, and stable, which builds the cavalry units. Like I said, for the boat and the basic cavalry unit, you can also use a city, but it's always more expensive to build it in the city than in the facilities made for it. So stable is, even for warrior cavalry, cheaper. And also the shipyard, when it builds boat, it's also cheaper to build it. You can see it now here. So built in the shipyard cost 8 gold, 8533. If I will do it in Byzantium, you can see it's 15765. So you should definitely always use the facilities which are for this specific type, because it's cheaper. So the next three buildings are military buildings. This is come on. Patrol tower, which is basically only unit which can attack on a longer distance. It's actually it can attack unit which is not right next to the next to it, so not in the agent style, but further away. It's very effective, especially when you build a defensive line created by either a river, which is very good, or by these two different facilities, which is fort and a defensive wall. Fort is basically a simpler version, or yeah, I would say simpler version of defensive wall. And it multiplies the defense of units which are basically in these defensive structures. So what I can do, I can load the warrior into the fort, and once it's attacked, that this warrior will defend the fort. What is very important to understand is that the garrison unit or the defending unit is not just defending the tile where it was loaded into this facility, but also the against one. So it means that if this legion, this Roman legion, attack, for example, this particular tile with this fort, then this warrior will automatically move to this tile in the same moment, and he will defend this tile. So they are automatically moving inside these walls or forts and defensive wall to be able um, to defend the whole structure. Not really the whole structure, but they can move in distance of one. So in this case, you can see that we have one warrior here, one warrior here. They are able to defend the whole structure. The same is here. We have a defensive walls here, and there is just one unit. So wherever this unit, this Cassandra's army would attack, then this unit will be there and will be defending this wall. So these are buildings, and now let's go to the lowest level of micromanagement, which is the, let's call it tile management. So I will turn off the grid. We have basically two different sets of units. The first one are those which do not change the owner of the tile, which is, for example, settler. You can see that when this is unowned land. This is Dacian tribes, this is mine, and this is unowned, it's in the tooltip. And once I get there, you can see that it doesn't change the owner. So these are the units which don't change the owners, and then there are units which do. Those are basically all military units. So every tile I step on will change the border. So you can see we just extended the border because we were able to conquer that tile. And settlers are very useful because they can perform a list of different actions. The first one I would start with is the bridge. So they build bridges across the river, which basically eliminate the movement penalty over the tiles where are rivers. So let's build a bridge. And once the bridge is built, we can also build roads. And so that's the first thing. They build roads and bridges. Then the other thing, they can transform terrain. They can chop wood, which basically means that they will cut all the trees there, and it will become, this terrain tile will become plain. You will get straight away a lot of wood. You can see that there is in the tooltip or in the deduction panel, we will have 7 wood straight away. But this also changes it to plain, and this tile will be not able to produce wood anymore. So you need to really consider if you need the wood straight away, or you are able to harvest it one turn after another. Then they also can build so-called terrain extensions, which are like these fields, or there are also farms. The other thing, they can transform swamps. We currently don't have swamps here. Okay, there is one swamp, but we don't have a settler there. So basically, swamp can be also dried, and it will change the terrain to a bit more fertile one. But we don't have a settler there now, so let's skip that. And they can also destroy roads and bridges. This is a thing which can be done also by the military units. So let's move there, this warrior, and we just build the bridge, and you can see it's built, and we will now destroy it again. So basically we destroyed the bridge, and now this is unusable, and we either repair it or we have to cross the river without the bridge, which basically there is this movement penalty, and it takes quite some time to cross. And you can also destroy roads. Cities can be built by almost all the unit types or all the melee unit types. So we can build the city even by the army. So you can see that we have this build town here. So we can build town by the warriors, but all the time prefer to do it with settlers, because settlers make the build the city faster. To this warrior it takes 4 turns, for settlers 2 turns, and it is also more expensive when you build it with army and not with settlers. The other things what we can do with army is also or military units is obviously you can attack. We can raid, which basically mean that if there are any trade routes in the nearby territories, we can try to raid the trade route. We are basically we will be bandits and we will try to steal these trading goods, and if we succeed, then the stolen resources will be added to our stockpile. And we can also pillage. That's probably the last thing I will cover today, but let's pillage one city. I already talked about the concept when a city is broken and needs emergency aid. So there are a couple of things I would like to say before I execute this pillage. So you can see that we have lower loyalties, 47%. We also we have a 100% general moral, and the size is 3.7. If I will hover over, oh, okay, I cannot do it now because it's okay. So let's do it. Let's do it here. I will move this warrior. So we have size 3.3, we have 100% loyalty and 100% general moral, and let's now order the unit to pillage. You can see in the deduction panel we will have a vast amount of gold, we will have a lot of stones and also iron out of the plundering. But what it will do, let's execute that. So yes. And you can see straight away that the size of the city is like it's 1.4, which is half, but it's not half in a way that this is non-linear. So number of citizens has dropped like 80%. I should have shown you before. The general moral is almost on 0, and we now have this, the city in state broken state. So you can see that there is the fire, and if we don't provide the emergency aid, which is basically the only action which is now available, and we will have to pay for that, the city will probably disappear next turn. If there is a city which is broken, then the migration rate is extreme, and also the city itself is basically kind of getting destroyed. So people are still struggling there, like they are. There is lack of food, etc., etc. So that's the plundering. By the way, if you do it on a couple of times, then even let's end the turn. I will show you what will happen. I hope that we will see it, because I think that the city will actually disband now. This is actually, I think, the first time I ended the turn during these streams. So you can see that there was attack on the defensive wall, and the Legion was really not lucky, because we were ready in the fort, and he got beaten. Okay, let's skip these turns. Yes, so that's basic. No, this is it. What was the name of the city? Yeah, it's gone. It's gone because the immigration was too high. Also, you can see that the happiness has decreased. It's because of people. Once we plunder a city which was our for a long time, then they feel kind of unsecure that we can do it in other city as well. If we plunder a city which we just conquered, then the impact on the happiness is really low. But you can see that here it's minus 7%. Yeah, it's gone, so we cannot even see the migration, but we can maybe see the migration plus migration around. Okay, so here it was in minus values, and now you can see that the migration got a bit up. It's because of the people were kind of moving here, but most of them, because we plundered it, probably went to Thessalonica or even Pergamon. Okay, so this is pretty much what I wanted to cover. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. Otherwise, I'm happy that you were able to to stay and watch it till the end, because it's 90 minutes and it's kind of heavy stuff. So thank you for watching. I will so I will wait a couple of minutes if there are any questions. Otherwise, we will have probably the next dev stream again next Friday. I think that altogether there are another 3 of them, and the last one will probably be focused on modding itself. So I will basically show you also how to change the files, how to change the code if you want to try modding. I will first show you the editor. That's the easy way. So you will be basically able to you know, change the terrains. You will be able to add units, stuff like that. That will be the first part of the last stream, but this is not going to be the next time. And then I will show you also the modding. Okay, well, regarding settlers, is it ever a bad idea to do this on your own territory? No, it's actually a good idea. I mean, if you have swamp, the best thing you can do is to drive, because the swamp itself is pretty much useless. Okay, we don't have it in our range. Yeah, here it is. So you can see that the yields is nothing. So if you don't do anything with the swamp, it's basically useless, and it doesn't make sense to build a city near swamps. The only way how to get something out of it is to use settler and transform the terrain to something more usable. A swamp is interesting for one reason. It's the only terrain you basically can transform to 2 different terrains. So you can see, no, sorry, that's jungle. So yeah, so the only thing you can do with the swamp is to dry terrain. It will take some time, and it will change it to grassland, which is kind of fertile. Yeah, okay. So it seems like that's it. Once again, thank you for watching. I will be available on chat if you have any other questions you don't want to discuss on stream. And I will look forward to see you next time. By the way, for those ones who just came, this is Aggressors Ancient Rome. It's a 4X turn-based strategy game which came out almost 1 month ago. So thank you again. Have a nice evening, and see you next time.